All right, in this video, I'm going to talk about what a behavior intervention plan is. The acronym for a behavior intervention plan is BIP, or BIP, as some people might call it. So, what it is, it's a plan. It's designed to teach positive behaviors and reward those positive behaviors. So, what this plan can do, it can help prevent negative problem behaviors, or it can stop those problem behaviors. So it's the BIP, the BIP, the behavioral intervention plan. It's based off the results of the functional behavior assessment, and I got into this a little bit in the previous videos, but this video is going to be specifically focused on the behavior intervention plan. So the BIP describes the problem behavior, the reasons that behavior occurs, and the intervention strategies that are going to be used to address that problem behavior. So let me give an example. I have a student. The problem behavior with her is interacting with her classmates and with adults. So she has a very tough time working with partners, working in groups. That was a behavior that was identified. And she's not always respectful to adults. It's another behavior that was identified. And so in the BIP, it's going to describe that behavior, why that behavior occurs. And so we describe that behavior. She does not get along with her classmates. She's disrespectful to her classmates and can be disrespectful to adults as well. So that goes in there. What causes that behavior? Anytime she has to do partner work or group work, she can be disrespectful to adults if she doesn't get her way. So that behavior went into that behavior intervention plan, and then talked about also the intervention strategies used to address that behavior. Okay. So the IEP, the Individualized Education Plan team, might realize that the child lacks the skills that is needed to handle a certain or specific situation. So what the plan can do, it can explain who is responsible for helping with each part of the BIP. So let's go. Sorry, I skipped a little bit here. So, let's go talk about how if a child lacks the skills needed to handle a specific situation. So, an example would be if a child has attention or impulsivity issues. They can't pay attention in class. They can't sit still in class. That student might not know how to respond appropriately when another child confronts them. So he might become physically aggressive. So that would be a situation where the child doesn't have the skills that's needed to handle a situation. The BIP, it can be helpful in helping a child learn problem-solving skills, better ways to handle situations, better ways to respond to that type of situation. So the plan is also going to explain who's responsible for helping with each part, each aspect of the BIP. So in a BIP, it might go something like this. It might be read something like this. So the student will ask for breaks when needed. The counselor will teach student self-calming activities. The student will be removed from a group after one warning until he can show self-control. The student will be rewarded with computer time if the teacher notices him working well in a group. The teacher will de-emphasize competition in the classroom. So those are a list of examples of what might go into a behavior intervention plan. So some things to watch out for in a behavior intervention plan is that it needs to be monitored and it needs to be adjusted appropriately as it's needed. So in a BIP, it's not always going to work as planned. That's something that happens. Things don't always go as planned, but if it doesn't go as planned, it needs to be monitored and adjusted. So keep that in mind. Two common reasons that it might need to be adjusted is, let's say there's a mismatch between an intervention and a targeted behavior. So the student, the intervention strategy, it's not working, and that student is not making any progress towards that targeted behavior. There's a mismatch going on. Something needs to be adjusted. Sometimes the IEP team assumes that the misbehavior might happen for one reason, but the real reason might be something else that's completely different. So that kind of goes hand in hand with each other there. Another reason might be a failure to monitor and adjust the rewards or reinforcement for appropriate behavior over time. And this is something I've noticed with my students that have the behavior intervention plans in place and students that don't. Sometimes that reward might get stale, right? So let's say reward for a student might be lunch with a teacher or candy, and they keep getting that reward. Over time, sometimes that student might not care for that award. I know I've had a couple students, especially I teach third, fourth, fifth grade, especially my fifth grade students, they tend to, especially by the end of the year, they don't care as much about that positive reinforcement. They don't care as much about getting a piece of candy or getting a prize out of the prize bin. So sometimes you might need to adjust that positive reinforcement for that student to keep them motivated to reach their goals.